It was an important designation to have February as Black History Month. But given where we are at this point in time and the amount of content and the technology we have, it's an important time to be able to tell those stories 365 days a year, 24/7. We have such a vast array of stories to tell, many of which are still invisible or remain undertold.
Brands are understanding and recognizing the changing demographics of the United States as a whole. The United States is getting far more diverse. In fact, the year 2042 says that the U.S. will be a minority-majority country. When we're talking about culturally led campaigns, showing up where the culture is and understanding what the culture is talking about, you're talking about a pop culture scenario or the culture scenario that's informed by African Americans.
Beyond representation, brands can do so much more for the Black community. You can never go wrong by prioritizing Black well-being. Representation can come off performative. Sometimes it requires Black people to be put up on a pedestal, rain or shine, however they feel, and sometimes the spotlight just ain't it. Prioritizing well-being looks like making sure people have the time, the space, the funds, and the resources to take the space that they need to recuperate, revive, and restore themselves. When you do that, you make sure that you have not only a thriving Black population within your organization, but also a self-sustaining one. It allows Black people to practice prioritizing their needs, setting boundaries, and it requires everyone else in the workforce to know those needs, recognize them, and move accordingly.
Well, authentic representation looks like just showing up in real time, not trying to play in culture to push your brand forward, but to understand that if you want to show up in culture, you have to show up for the culture. You're a street team marketer. You have to know the clubs to go to hand out the flyers, to put the wheat paste, to put the snipes up. You have to understand how that audience is interacting with each other, the language, the nomenclature, the verbiage that they're using within that group. You also have to make sure that you're walking the right way, that you're dressed the right way for you to effectively do your job.
If an organization has limited budget, the best way to spend that money is prioritizing the immediate needs. It requires you to kind of have your ear to the ground and know what your teams have low-key been complaining about. And complaining looks like, oh man, I haven't had the chance to get lunch today. Or, oh man, I've been working till 7 o'clock every night, right? Burnout doesn't just happen overnight. It's little things that really amount to us deprioritizing our personal needs for the 9 to 5. There's tons of ways that people can revitalize themselves, and a little bit goes a long way per person, but a self-care budget is an immediate need that people can take on themselves and not feel guilt about having to spend the money on work. You do a lot of work in work every day. You also have to work on yourself too, and that's a full-time job.
So when we think about government and the influence Black Americans and Black people are having inside the United States and in government institutions all around the world, we know that this is going to have a big impact on laws and legislation and the way our cities are run and operated. When we look at corporate structure and the influence Blacks are making, not only as talent inside of those organizations, but as contributors to the boards of directors.
Black creators make the inclusive marketing strategy. And I'm not just talking about marketing strategies focused on African Americans, right? right now and for years, African Americans have had the pulse and the understanding of what culture is talking about, whether it is, back in the days, radio or publications or magazines or music, to today, those creators, the people that understand those conversations, are the ones that are pushing the culture forward. And any strategy, any inclusive marketing strategy, but more broadly, any marketing strategy at all, needs to understand the impact and the importance of Black creators and just doing an effective job of connecting to those consumers or to those potential consumers.
The NFT space is the next frontier. I've seen Black artists pop off on the platform. We've seen how Black art and Black culture has been co-opted in social spaces and digital spaces, but now it's time for Black people to have ownership over where their culture goes. And the NFT space is just that.